What are the top 5 ARs and LMGs in Warzone right now? I'm here to answer that question as well as give you the best class setups for each one. I'll have every type of class setup from sniper support to long range. Welcome back, I'm Austin and I've tested out all the weapons in Warzone to find out which new guns are the best to create this list. I also polled the community to see what you guys thought, and I reveal these rankings towards the end of the video, and I used the 3 pillars of meta weapons in Warzone: ease of use, TTK, and movement. And let's kick off this list with the 5th best AR in Warzone, and it's actually going to be an LMG, the MG42. This makes the list because it's the easiest fully auto weapon to use in the entire game. This is because of a couple factors. You can build this thing out to have no recoil, and its base fire rate is 1035. This makes it very viable for every person to use in Warzone because it's going to be the ultimate suppression weapon, and it's going to be very forgiving to use. If you miss a shot, this fire rate makes up for it, and then it's really hard to miss a shot because there's no recoil on the weapon. The reason this MG42 doesn't make it higher on the list is going to be because it takes 1,000,000 bullets to down your enemies. The average damage on this weapon is only going to be 24.5, which is extremely low for an LMG, but it's necessary with its fire rate and ease of use. Without that, the gun would be OP. It's a low damage, fast fire rate, and low recoil weapon. Think of it as the LMG version of the M13. It will eat your ammo up, but you will love how it feels when you're using it. And the last amazing stat about this weapon is going to be its 51 meter range before it has a damage drop off. Just think about that. And it actually has the best range of all fully automatic weapons in Warzone. Now if we go over to the best class setup, we're going to be improving the strengths of this weapon. We're going to increase the fire rate with this 125 round mag, which also reduces recoil. The only catch in this setup is that you're not going to have a suppressor, and you will be showing up on the radar because you have to use a length end. And the F8 stabilizer muzzle is a super important attachment, and I wouldn't recommend taking it off because it helps the damage range of this weapon, which is already one of its strong suits. And remember, we're doing percentage increases based on these attachments, so that means the better the stat, percentage increase is going to affect it more. And with the attachment, you can guarantee you're getting its top time to kill out to 60 meters. You can't really buy that on any type of weapon in the game, so you can use a silencer if you really want, but it's either going to hurt your ADS on an LMG, so it's going to make it really slow, or you're going to be hurting its range, and I just wouldn't recommend to do that. The 4th best AR in Warzone is going to have to be the bar, and this is actually the polar opposite to the gun we were just talking about, the MG42, by being the highest risk reward fully automatic weapon in the entire game. And that's mainly due to its base fire rate only being 400, which makes it super unforgiving when you miss shots. For every single missed shot you have on the bar, you're going to add 150 milliseconds to your time to kill. That's not good, but it has the highest average damage amongst fully automatic weapons at close range with an impressive 48, and it's still great at long range with 37. The good news with the bar is that the recoil is still fairly low and really easy to aim when you're tap firing, which isn't going to affect your time to kill too much because of how slow that fire rate is. You're going to have to kind of treat it like a DMR. And the reason I don't have the bar higher on the list is because of its lack of versatility and the penalties you get for missing shots. It can only be used at mid to long range. It's probably the worst weapon at close range inside of 10 meters in the whole game. I'd rather use a sniper close range. That's how bad it is. But the good news is, it's easy to aim and gets the enemy on the defensive when you're just chunking away their health at long range. For the best class setup, we're going to focus on making the weapon as accurate as possible while also increasing the damage with the 40 round mag. We lean into its strengths. We're already going to be tap firing this weapon, so even though we are lowering the fire rate with the 40 round mag, it isn't a big deal, but the increased damage and bullet velocity are huge for this weapon at long range. We're essentially building an automatic sniper rifle. If you guys are still watching, hit the like button, it helps a lot. I also have a live poll on what SMG is the best in Warzone currently. Make sure to vote on that if you want an influence on the next top 5 video. And the 3rd best AR in all of Warzone is the STG-44. This makes it onto the list because it's the most versatile weapon in the game. You can build this as a long-range weapon with no recoil, or you can build it as an elite sniper support. This is the Vanguard version of the Cold War AK-47, but you can put 10 attachments on it to make it even better. It has a 600 fire rate just like the AK, and a super similar movement stats. I have an entire video in depth comparing the two that I'll link in the top right corner. In that video, I give the long-range setup for the STG, as you're probably seeing the gameplay right now, and in this one, I'm going to be giving you the best sniper support build, and on that build I focus on improving its movement stats while making sure the weapon stays accurate. That is why I use acrobatic instead of vital, because it increases the movement speed while vital doesn't affect your TTK at close range. Try it out with the car or the Swiss and you should love it. Number 2 is going to be the top Vanguard light machine gun The DP-27. This is a nice blend of all the weapons so far, and that's why it slides into the top 2. It has a 747 fire rate, making it fall into the typical meta range. It has an incredibly low recoil when you build it out correctly, and has a much better average damage than the MG42 earlier on this list with 31. The DP-27 feels like the perfect light machine gun, has decent mobility, super accurate, solid damage, and a good fire rate. The only thing that sucks with it is its reload time, but you can expect that from any light machine gun within the game. This is one of the top end weapons for a late game ghost class. You're landing back in, you need one weapon, I suggest grabbing the DP-27. And for its best class setup, we are going to be making sure we build it to be as accurate as possible. And with the first attachment, we're going to put on the 105 round extended mag, which also does not affect its fire rate or damage. It's just going to stand pat, it just gives you more bullets in your clip. And then what we're going to be doing is building it to have the best recoil when you're holding down the trigger. We're not looking for initial recoil on light machine guns, we're looking for things that can make them be better when we're sustaining fire, because they're suppression weapons, and that's what this loadout is built for. You won't have a hard time using this weapon, you're gonna have a good time using it. Now I'd like to have a couple honorable mentions of weapons I still think are great. The XM4 is still an underappreciated long-range AR, and here's a quick class setup that I'm going to leave on the screen for a couple seconds. People don't really use this enough as a long-range AR, they use it as sniper support, but try this build out in Warzone Pacific, you're not going to regret it. Then we have the Brent and PKM for a couple other LMGs that are great. I don't have the Brent class set up yet because I haven't finished leveling it up, so that's honestly one of the reasons I didn't put it on my tier list, but it's still a great one. The PKM, fantastic, use this class setup, probably my favorite LMG from Cold War or Modern Warfare. And now finally, here's the poll, and the list is going to be slightly different from you guys, the community voting. I went over it a little bit more in depth with a fine-tooth comb to create these classes and make this list, and without much of a shock, the number 1 AR is going to be the Cooper Carbide. This weapon can be used as a long-range AR, sniper support, or SMG. It's versatile like the STG, but they just recently nerfed a couple attachments to make the SMG version of it a little bit worse. Good news, it doesn't affect what we're going to be building it out as. It has a base fire rate of 803, and you can build it to have 1200 rounds per minute if you wanted, but we aren't going to go that crazy because who wants that much recoil? But it has an average damage of 28.5, and we're going to be increasing the fire rate with a couple attachments. It's a beam up to 40 meters and has a base range of 28. It also has an incredible movement for an assault rifle. This is the top sniper support weapon in the game right now, in my estimation. For the class setup, we have the Cooper Custom, which doesn't lower the damage, but it increases the fire rate while making it more accurate. What? What the f? An absolutely busted attachment that logically makes no sense. Why would you increase the fire rate, increase the accuracy, and not touch the damage? But whatever, we're going to take advantage of that. And then we're going to add the 60 round mag, which does lower damage by 4%, which actually got buffed recently. It used to lower it by 11%. I don't know why they buffed it, but whatever, we get a better fire rate, and that's good for us. Then we have the 2 most important movement attachments, and that's going to be the remove stock and fleet. They will make it feel like you're running around with a submachine gun. And finally, the most broken ammo type for close range weapons is incendiary. It doesn't allow enemies to plate for nearly 1 full second after you stop hitting them. This allows you to push them super aggressively because you know you'll catch them plating or having less than full health. Pair it with a combat scout in the 3rd perk slot and you'll be cooking lobbies. If you want to know a top 5 best full class loadout, click on this video that will be linked in a couple days time.